I remember that night vividly. The music throbbed, the lights flickered in sync with our energy, and I was on top of the world, dancing, laughing, and feeling invincible until we ran out of cocaine. Pooling our money, I asked around and someone directed us to a guy. A scrawny man in a beige leisure suit who looked out of place. "It's good stuff," he assured us with a shaky smile. Desperation blurred judgment, and we handed him the cash. Back at the table, we eagerly started snorting. My friend, an experienced dealer, sniffed the situation literally, and threw his bill down in frustration. "This is nothing," he muttered. "We've been had." But I couldn't accept it. It numbed my gums after all. Maybe it's just weak, I thought. If I do the whole pile, it'll hit me. Line after line disappeared under my nose until there was nothing left. First, I felt odd but not high. Annoyed, I shouted over the pounding bass, "I'm going to the bathroom." The trek there felt strange. Tiny red specks began to dance in my peripheral vision, like static on an old TV. This must be a side effect, I thought, amused. But by the time I reached the stall, my vision narrowed into a tunnel. I stared at the walls, unable to read the graffiti that normally entertained me. Then it hit me, I couldn't breathe. It felt as though every ounce of air had been drained from the bathroom. Panic rose as I gasped, desperate to fill my lungs, but nothing worked. Stumbling out, I pushed through the chaotic crowd, searching for help. My chest tightened with every useless breath, and I found my date, grabbing his arm. "There's no air in here," I rasped. He looked at me with confusion. "It's fine," he said, dismissing me. My frustration boiled over. How could he not see? How could no one see? He guided me to the bar, where the bartender handed me a glass of water. I didn't want water, I wanted air. But I sipped it anyway, hoping for relief. And then it happened. A force immense and unimaginable struck me like a fist to the chest. In an instant, I was no longer there. I shot upward, leaving behind my suffocating body. The panic, the pain, the heaviness, they were gone. I was weightless, free, and at peace for the first time in my life. The struggle that had consumed me vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief. As I ascended, the club, the city, and even the earth faded beneath me. The bright lights of Manhattan gave way to a vast ocean, stretching endlessly under a perfect cloudless sky. My spirit, or whatever I was, felt drawn to dive. Without hesitation, I arched back and plunged toward the water. A fleeting thought crossed my mind. Won't water feel like concrete from this height? But I wasn't afraid. When I hit the surface, it was nothing but beauty. The water surrounded me, filled with bubbles that shimmered like tiny jewels. Every movement felt natural, as if this was where I had always belonged. In the distance, a weathered house stood atop a mesa, bathed in golden light. Called to me, though I couldn't explain why. I need to get there, I thought, and before I could process how, I was already at the door. Hovering just above the threshold, I felt no weight, no body, just awareness. Crossing into the house felt sacred, like stepping into a space that held the secrets of eternity. Inside, I knew without a doubt, this was the house of my ancestors. Though I couldn't see them, I felt them. Their presence surrounded me, warm and welcoming. Generations of family, grandparents, great-grandparents, and relatives I had never met were there. The strongest presence was my grandfather, a man I had only heard stories about but now felt deeply connected to. In that moment, I understood. I was part of something far greater than myself. It was humbling and profoundly comforting. In one room, I expected to find a chair facing a massive picture window overlooking the ocean. But the chair wasn't there. Disappointment washed over me. How will I see the view? I wondered. As soon as the thought formed, something pulled me, not physically, but from the center of my being. It drew me across the room and out the window. I was flying again, soaring over the ocean toward a radiant, blazing sun. Its light stretched across the water in a golden path, beckoning me forward. The sensation of flight was exhilarating, but a voice in my mind asked, "Is this real? Am I dreaming?" To my shock, a deep, resonant voice answered, "More real than anything back there." I knew instantly what back there meant. My life as Louisa, filled with insecurities, struggles, and the endless effort to feel like I belonged. Compared to this, that life felt like a shadow. This was reality, vivid, undeniable, and eternal. As I approached the sun, it grew larger and more intricate. Patterns of light and energy danced across its surface, alive with meaning. I wondered, am I going to burn up? But instead of being consumed, I passed through it. Inside was pure light, everywhere and everything. The light wasn't just around me, it was within me. It filled every corner of my being with love. Unconditional, infinite, overwhelming love. For the first time I felt truly seen, truly known. Every flaw, every mistake, every fear I had carried was laid bare. And yet I was loved. Deeply, personally, completely. I became aware of a being cradling me, holding me like a child. In my mind's eye, the being appeared serene and radiant, seated in a meditative pose. It whispered to me, "You are so loved. You are so loved." Each word wrapped around me like a warm blanket, soothing wounds I didn't even know I had. I wanted to stay there forever. But then the being spoke again. "You can't stay. You're not done." "No," I screamed with every fiber of my being. I wasn't ready to leave. I wanted to remain in the light, in the love, in the peace. But there was no arguing. I felt myself being pulled back, falling through blackness. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the sticky floor of the nightclub. My vision was blurry, but slowly the outlines of people came into focus. The bartender knelt over me, having performed CPR for 3 minutes. "You were gone for a long time," he said. "We didn't think you were coming back." At the time I brushed it off, embarrassed and unwilling to confront the truth of what had happened. But deep down, I knew I had been given a second chance. For years I tried to rationalize the experience. I told myself it was a hallucination, a trick of an oxygen-deprived brain. But no matter how much I tried to dismiss it, the memories wouldn't fade. The love I felt in the light was more real than anything I had ever experienced. Eventually, I hit rock bottom with alcoholism. On January 29, 1995, I walked into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. That day marked the beginning of my sobriety and the journey back to myself. Now I understand. God is real, not as a distant, judgmental figure, but as the essence of love and intelligence that permeates everything. My purpose is simple: to share that love, to brighten the lives of others, and to honor the gift I was given. A glimpse into the infinite, a reminder that love is the foundation of everything.